So, part two of today's videos, uh, I want to talk now about the actual construction methods I'm going to use on this bag. So, you probably saw this ages ago that I drew this just to have a schematic of how I was going to weave so that the selvage would, one of the selvages, and it's going to be this one, the one closest to the white warp stripe. Uh, how one of the selvages was going to be the top edge of the bag, and the other one would be the bottom seam, and this would be a fold line or possibly stitched for one of the side seams, and then I would seam to get together somehow the other raw edges as the opposite side seam. So that was the overall thing, but now we're ready to start looking at specific, actual, how on earth am I going to put this together sorts of questions. And to answer that question first, I want to look at how I had done this knitted bag. And remember that while I have lots and lots of experience felting intentionally or otherwise my knits, this is the first time I have intentionally tried to make felted fabric, felted woven fabric for a bag. And so I'm experimenting as I go. So on this knitted bag, what I'm reasonably certain that what I did was I knitted in garter stitch this bottom gusset, and then you can see that I hand stitched with the same yarn to get this gusset attached. And I did the same thing initially with the two straps. And this bag, and then I felted it all again. So I felted the gusset once, and I did the same thing with the strap, which is now moldering in a landfill somewhere. Um, I felted the fabric once, stitched everything together, and then I threw it back in the washing machine and dryer to do one more super felt session. And that worked really well. I have never, ever, ever in all the years I've been using this bag had any sort of tearing incidents, holes, anything like that. This stuff literally wears like armor, wore like armor. Um, Even when, and oh, you know what? I inadvertently lied to you all. It's not that there's a hole here. I mean, this is an intentional doohickey opening that I left, but I can see that one of the hand stitches did break over time, and that's not surprising. I am pretty rough on my bags. They go through a lot. Uh, yeah, they go through a lot. They go through some things. I do know that I had to hand sew, and it was like punching an awl through leather. I had to hand sew the strap because this fabric was so dense, my sewing machine couldn't handle it. It just said, no, no, we're not doing this. So when I hand sewed the strap, that worked reasonably well until the strap just started falling apart. And then I went to my little overall buttons. So that's what happens on knitted fold fabric that has been fulled beyond belief. And I was not sure how things were going to play out on this woven fabric. So, in part 1 million of why you should sample, uh, I'm really glad that I made this sample because I took this to my sewing machine this morning just to see what would happen, knowing that the first time I tried sewing knitted felted fabric, it did not work. Well, it turns out that that felted woven fabric, it works beautifully. So first I just tried it on a single layer, and I deliberately used contrasting threads so that you could see the stitching, and it's working really, really well. And then I tried a doubled layer. And again, it worked really, really well. I am reasonably certain I am reasonably certain that, especially if I double, triple stitch this, I will be able to carry this bag with all the kinds of crap and the usual harsh treatment that I mete out to my tote bags without any worries about things falling. So double, triple stitching can help. Uh, I can even cut out part of this sample fabric if I so choose, and I probably will choose, and seam a pocket on the interior of the bag, maybe even the exterior. And as long as I'm using matching thread as opposed to this contrasting thread, it won't even be visible. It just won't be seen. So why am I so happy about this? Because honestly, the last couple of weekends as I'm getting ready, so I'm going to have this fabric done later today, and then I will be ready to felt it. I was kind of wearing myself, fretting myself into a fever over how am I going to construct this bag? What if I partially felt it and then machine stitch it and then finish felting it? Or what if I sew it all together with yarn and then felt it like I did the purple bag? What if I, and this sample and literally 2 minutes at the sewing machine taught me, Deb, all that worrying was baseless because I did this sample and I am going to finish the real fabric in the same way. I know how it's going to behave. And I know that now that I can seam it, I know that I can even use decorative top stitching if I so choose. I know that when I felt this attempt at the strap, it might turn out to be the perfect size for a gusset at the bottom of the bag. I know all these things because I made a sample and kept it around and took good, careful notes on how I put this all together. And it's great. So if I am worried at all about sorry, this is the wrong drawing. Where's my drawing? Oh, nope, not there, not there. This is my life. Oh, I threw it on the couch. If I'm worried at all about these raw edges uh, being left exposed on the inside of the bag, I can also just sew a lining from some coordinating fabric, some fun fabric of pretty much any kind, and then just hand stitch it to the top invisibly on the inside. Or I can machine stitch it. There's a million things I can do to this. And that is because now I know machine stitching is going to be the way to go. It's going to solve all my problems. So I hope this has given you some perspective on design ideas you can incorporate into your own weaving, into your own tote bags. And with any luck, by next weekend, at least the body of the bag will be done, and then I'll be ready to make design decisions about the strap. We'll just have to see how that all goes because I just don't know. I am truly making this up as I go along, but I'm making it up on the basis of a sample where I know what's happened to the fabric. I know how these yarns will interact. I know color-wise, I know how they'll react to wet finishing. All this stuff gets simpler when you have a sample. So, hope you enjoyed this.